Jazzcast Pros.
If you're an introvert and you have this really cool idea, just do it. There's no harm in trying it, putting it out there, not your face, just your idea. But the other piece is start talking to everybody you know about it. In every single conversation, fit it in somehow so that way people hear your idea and then maybe either offer advice or can help you actually make it happen.
Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the current or aspiring solopreneur, navigate the messy middle so you can make both an income and an impact. Hi, I'm Rashawn, and I love creating safe spaces for women to be courageous in their dreams. After spending a decade working in sales for a startup and talking with hundreds of other women entrepreneurs, I know it can be lonely, but you can do this. We are having impactful conversations with people walking similar paths to you, so pull up a seat. This is High Vibe Table Talks. And welcome, Jen, to the table. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I always like to start off giving my audience a little bit of a peek into who you are. So can you share with us a little bit about where you're located and who you serve?
Sure. So name is Jenn Mullen. I am located in Massachusetts. I'm a corporate dropout is what I like to say. And I am currently a digital operations assistant helping clients getting their time back through systems and strategy and thinking about organization. I'm married with no kids, but 2 dogs, a lab and an Australian shepherd, which is kind of a lot, but I love them dearly. Definitely an introvert, but I like to laugh a lot. So you might hear that little giggle a lot during this episode.
If you're listening to this, you didn't see, but when you said corporate dropout, I was clapping because I'm all for, not that people who are meant to be in corporate, not that it's a terrible thing, but I think we're conditioned that is the only route to take, and it's not for everybody. And that realization is really great.
Yeah, that's a big part of my story. And I say corporate dropout as a joke, but I was in it for 14 years before I finally realized this is not the life for me. So I share that so everybody else can use it themselves if that fits. So
yeah, what did your life kind of look like during that time? And did you have an aha moment where you're like, oh, I can't do this for the next however many decades?
Yeah, 100%. So I did what everybody, is told they're supposed to do, go to college, get a job. And that's exactly what I did. And I worked at a major health insurance company in Massachusetts and kind of worked my way up the ranks, started in the call center, moved on to, an off the phones kind of job, and ended up working in Boston, where I live now is probably about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours by car. So I decided to take a train. I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. Well, it was an hour and a half one way by train just to get to my office. So it was crazy. I had to get on a train at 5:45 every morning, literally physically on the train to get to my job on time at 7:30. And I did it for 4 years. I loved what I did. I was in healthcare fraud investigation, so it was super fun. But in Boston, the winters suck, for a better way to say it.
Yeah.
And there was one night I left my office at 3:30, like I always do. I get to South Station, and there's probably 12 to 14 platforms of trains, and every single one was full of people, but there was not one train in the station waiting to take people home. And I was looking around, kind of freaking out, texting my husband, telling him, I don't know what the hell's going to happen or what time I'm going to get home. I ended up not getting home until 9:00 that night. And when I told my boss, my journey, what happened, she's like, okay, so I'll see you in the morning. And I'm like, okay. So that was my red flag. That was my wake up. But it took 4 years for me to get that. And I think part of it is because I like my job so much. I love the people I work with. I had great health insurance and dental benefits, and the pay was really good. But that night in the station was my wake up call, because you can't live a life like that. You can't get home at 9:00 at night. And I'm not saying that happens every night, but no one should live a life where they are expected to get up less than 12 hours later to get to work, and not even have a good night's sleep. So not everybody's journey is like that, but that was 100% my wake up call for sure.
It's one of those things where I think, again, as a society, that job checked a lot of boxes, and society says you should be grateful. How dare you be ungrateful for being in a situation where you love what you do, you love the people you work with, you get paid well, you have good benefits, all of the boxes that society says after you graduate, this is what you need to find. And you were like, but I'm a human being and I'm not enjoying the life that I'm creating.
Yeah, because I think we're all fed this idea that you go to college, you get this good job in a corporate world, or not even corporate, but even just working for someone. And it's supposed to give you everything that you want, all the hours away from work to spend time with your family, good pay, so you can go on these great vacations. And while, yeah, some of that actually happens, I feel like there's still a big disconnect. And it's funny because I left that job just before the pandemic happened. So as soon as the pandemic happened, everybody's working from home. And I'm like, I just wanted that one day a week.
Yeah.
So the timing is just really funny about that. But I think we're all fed this idea, working for somebody is going to be the end all be all, and it's going to give us this huge life of success. And sometimes that's not the way it is for some of us. Some people love it. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah. I always say that anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur can be. I'm not saying entrepreneurship is for everybody, but if you feel called to something really deeply and feel like it is a lifestyle that you want, you can make it work. Even as an introvert, and as you said, and I think that's how we connected via Threads, is because I am not an introvert. And so I think a lot of people have come to this conclusion that if they are an introvert, they can't be an entrepreneur because you have to be putting yourself out there. And so what would you say if there is an introvert listening being like, I really want to start my business, but I feel like I have to be out on social media all the time, or very outgoing and always networking and doing all those things that introverts find very draining?
Yeah. So I get that point because I actually have a few clients that are like that. They don't want to put themselves out on social media because they're afraid of judgment or afraid of being critiqued if they say something wrong. And honestly, I don't think social media is the end all be all for your business. Yeah, it's a great place to be. And if you go to my social media, you will see reels and you will see my face all over the place. But it took me years to get comfortable with that. So my advice, if you're an introvert and you're probably hearing me talk and going, she's not an introvert, she's totally fine talking. Yes, behind a screen. I'm 100% fine behind a screen. But out in public, I get nervous. But if you're an introvert and you have this really cool idea, just do it. Just start. There's no harm in trying it, putting it out there, not your face, just your idea. You can just put a graphic out there to show people what you're talking about if you want to be on social media. But the other piece is start talking to everybody you know about it. In every single conversation, fit it in somehow so that way people hear your idea and then maybe either offer advice or can help you actually make it happen. So don't be scared as an introvert to start, because just when you start, I feel like that's when the world opens up for you. And if you keep showing up every single day, you're going to get to a point where you are comfortable behind a screen and totally fine showing your face. It just takes time. It definitely takes time.
Yeah. And I think when we were initially talking too, this feels comfortable because it feels like a one-on-one conversation. It's not up in front of a panel in front of, 100 people, or even in a room full of, 50 people that you have to now make small talk with. And so you can find ways that you connect with people that aren't, one to many. You can build the business any way that you want. And
yeah.
When I met my husband, it took me years to realize he was an introvert, because I'm like, you're a teacher. You're in front of kids and people all day, every day. But it also he takes his weekends and breaks very seriously. He's in front of his PlayStation, or he's reading, or he's I'm going into the basement. Do not disturb me. And so I think that's one of the beautiful things as an entrepreneur that you can do is you can build in you may have to do things that you're uncomfortable with, and you can build in so much rest time.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, because you say PlayStation and that's me. Like every couple of weeks, I get one day that I literally just will play a video game for like 4 to 6 hours because my battery runs out. And that's the thing I think people don't necessarily realize about introverts is we can show up, we can be with other people, but if you do that too often, sometimes you just have no energy left. You have no brain power. You can't think. You don't want to talk to anybody. So I completely relate to your husband. And I think that building in that time is crucial, because one thing I do is I time block like pretty much everything on my calendar, but I created a calendar specifically for what I call white space. It is white space to me is literally just time where I don't have any tasks I have to get done. It's not like there's a rule that I need to use that time for X. It's white space where I have free time and I can use it however I want to use it. And I do that specifically so people don't control my time. I control it. And I can limit how much time I spend on Zoom calls or in meetings or, going to networking events. So building in that time is crucial. I think it's huge if you're an introvert, especially if you're a business owner.
Yeah. And so I think that it feels like you're not fresh from the messy middle, as in like you're, not still early in your entrepreneur career, which I really think anybody who's less than 5 years is still like early in the process.
Yeah.
But I think that what you have said is that you fell into the trap that a lot of us do is like, if I just work harder, I'll get to where I want to be faster.
Yeah.
Which then eliminates that white space time. So did you tell us about that experience for what you have gone through?
Yeah. For years, I thought if I just work longer hours, I would be able to make it happen like that, because people see, these celebrities on the internet and think like they were an overnight success. And the thing is, they're not. And yes, you're absolutely right. I am only going into year 3 of my business, but 2 of those years I ran while I was at my part-time job after I left corporate. And I would work 9 to 3 for my real estate office job. And then I would come home and I would work 4 to 9. And I would eat dinner while I was working, and I just got completely exhausted. And I did that for 2 years straight because I knew I kind of had to in order to get myself to a position where I could quit the other job and start to do this full time. So it wasn't so much about like delegating business activities. It was delegating personal activities in my house that somebody else could do. My husband, unfortunately, and thank God he's a saint, but he could do those things so that way I could work and focus on the building. So it's not always about do everything yourself. There are times when you don't have to be the one to throw that load of laundry in. You don't have to be the one to cook dinner. And those are the examples for my life. And I'm getting to a point where I'm going to be able to delegate stuff in my business now because I'm getting busier. So what I would totally say is write down that list of things that you don't have to do. You can give to somebody, because that's how I figured it out was, do I really have to be the one to cook dinner every night? No. And thank God he was willing. But so I wrote down all the things that I could delegate at some point, personal and business. And now I just refer to that list when I need to just kind of offboard something and have somebody else do something for me so I can work on the bigger pieces. So, and that helped so much, even just having that list to refer to.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself ever being like, I can't ask for help, or like there's friction when asking for help?
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
I grew up I was the older sister of 2, and my mom worked nights, dad worked days. So it was kind of like a weird situation, but we just made it work. And I always just felt like I fell into that role of, I have to be the helper. I have to be the supporter. I have to be the one to do blah, 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 fill in the blank. So I always took ownership that I have to be the one to do all this. Like, I can't give it to somebody else because they're not going to do it right.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally asking for help is really hard. But the example I'll give you, and I laugh about it because I like doing laundry. I know that sounds really weird. I like doing laundry and I like folding it because I like things folded a certain way.
Uh-huh.
My husband does that sometimes now. And whenever he folds my clothes, I always have to refold it. 'Cause it drives me insane. So I'm giving you that example as like, it was hard for me to let him do that because I knew I was going to have to, refold it to put it away or hang it up or whatever. But I never asked him. He just kind of did it. And then inside I had that built up knot. Like, do I want to stop him from doing this? Do I want to tell him, no, I don't want him to do that? And it was like something went off in my head that was like, no, just let him do it so you can go do this other thing that is helpful for your business. So sometimes it's not about asking. It's about just letting it happen and then just kind of like sitting on it and like simmering and seeing how it feels. And then once you do that, it got easier for me to ask.
Yeah.
It got easier for me to say, hey, can you help me do this or whatever? But it's still hard. I'm not going to lie. It's still so hard to ask for help in any way, shape, or form, for sure. I don't think that ever goes away,
Yeah. One of my sisters is also an introvert. And we were just on vacation down in Virginia going to visit my other sister. And we had an Airbnb and there was laundry in the Airbnb. And she did laundry like every night that we were there. And I was like, what? Like, you could not pay. How are you doing laundry? And she's like, I love it so much. It's my me time. And I'm like,
yes,
this is such a like weird, like I was just talking about it on my Instagram stories. Like if I could offload a home chore, it would be laundry.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. And I love doing it. Like it's right outside the living room on the first floor. So it's great. I can just fold everything there and like still hear the TV if I'm watching a show. And like cooking is the thing that I would offboard because I get stressed about timing and making sure everything works right. And it's all the same temperature when it comes out. So that would be my offboarding would be cooking.
Have you ever seen the show Summer House?
No.
It's a Bravo show, and I feel like we need an entrepreneur house because I love cooking so much.
I love this idea.
It is my love language. Like I had whole tomatoes and I made vodka sauce last night from scratch and my daughter was eating it and I'm just like staring at her like, is it good? Like that was like my words of affirmation is her telling me that it was good.
This is a brilliant idea because in all of us, whoever we decide, there's going to be somebody who likes to cook, likes to clean, likes to do laundry, likes to plan all our like activity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be somebody in every facet that you would need for sure. That would be so fun.
That would be so cool.
I love this idea. I feel like we need to pitch it to Bravo.
I know. Oh my God. Oh my God. If I met Andy Cohen, like that would be so cool.
Yes. Oh, that would be so fun. Oh man.
Awesome. So when we were first talking, you were kind of talking about like boundaries in business. And I think you touched on it a little bit as far as like your white space.
Yeah.
But what are some other boundaries that you have had to, and like, I think people see boundaries as like shutting other people out. And I see it as like, this is what I need. And these are the muscles that I need to flex to get to where I want to be. So what does that look like for you?
So I have to say, I love how you worded it because the first thing that comes off in my head right now is text messages. People expect you to respond the minute you get a text message. And the day that we're recording this today happens to be my birthday. And I'm not saying that to like get happy birthday wishes, but right now I have 17 direct messages on Facebook and 5 on I'm ignoring them all. And it's because I need to like keep today a sacred space for me. It just gets overwhelming for me. So the phone, that would be my first one, is respond when you can. It's not about when they need to get the message. It's when you have time to sit down and handle it. So I have a 24-hour rule for like work requests. So if a client emails me, I might respond to them and say, sure, I can tackle that on whatever day, but I'm not necessarily going to jump on it the minute they send an email. So that's one. Another one is I do have like a cutoff time. I will stop looking at emails at 5:00 every night. Just stop. I will not look at them because I want to have dinner with my husband. I want to have some wind down time. I like to read. So I want to build that in. It's getting nicer out. So I want to spend some time outside with my dogs. So that would be another. And then continuing with the phone and the electronics, I think that's a big piece for me because especially in our digital world where like notifications are going off so much, I stop looking at my computer and my phone at 7:00 at night, typically. And then I do not sleep with my phone next to me. That is a major one. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. Where is it?
Yeah.
It's in my office. So I have a charger right over here that I plug it in and I just leave it. I don't look at it again until the next morning when I get up. Unfortunately, it is still the first thing I grab when I wake up, and that is a boundary I'm working on. But spacing myself away from the digital devices and giving myself room to respond when I want to is, I think, my biggest tip for anybody, because you might feel like you're at their beck and call when you start to do that. And if you start to just respond right away, they're going to expect it moving forward. So I think you have to set the boundary. And it's not, like you said, not about shutting people out. That's not what it is. It's about responding on a time that works for you. Like, you have to control your own peace. And sometimes the phone is not it. So that would be what it all revolves around digital for me. And I think it's because of what I do.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I'm going to take so much because like there's times where I look at, like I pick up my phone first thing and I read an email and then I put my phone down and I forget about it. And then it's like, oh shit, I got to go get, all.
Yes.
But I think it's really beautiful thinking about what you have done as far as building a business that works for you and not like being a slave to your business.
Yes.
And you can build in white space as an introvert. You can build in 24-hour rules. You can put these building blocks in place that allow your business to feel supportive of you and your lifestyle, which again, the corporate job that you were in was not supporting your lifestyle, like getting home at 9:00 and then having to be on the train at 5:45 the next morning. Like that's not a lifestyle you want to consistently live.
I've always said, and I even had this inkling while I was in corporate, that I always wanted to live a life on my terms, my design, how I want to do it. It's not that I don't want to work. And a lot of people will hear that and say, oh, well, she just doesn't want to work. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. I want to do work that fills my cup, helps somebody else, but also supports the idea of me getting to go out in my backyard at 1:30 and throw a ball around with my dog. Like, I don't think you can get that. I think it's rare to get that when you work for somebody else. So I've ultimately like just set those boundaries, and it took years to get there. I've been working with a coach for probably almost a year now, and she has helped me set those boundaries and realize it's okay to set boundaries. So you just got to figure out what boundaries you need to set in order to make your life work for you. So,
and also like what's a priority for you, because there are people who a priority in their life is getting that paycheck every 2 weeks.
Sure.
And there's no like, I'm interviewing someone in a couple weeks talking about how they're using their 9 to 5 to like really grow their business right now, and they're not less of an entrepreneur because they have a 9 to 5. And so it's not like this is the right way and this is the wrong way. It's like you need to evaluate what your priorities are and then build whatever that life is around those priorities.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think a lot of people think that when you're building a business and you have a job, oh, it's just a side hustle. And yeah, it could start out that way. But you're right. You're not less of an entrepreneur because you do it one way versus going cold turkey and opening it right out of the gate. You absolutely have to figure out like what matters, what's important to me.
Mhm.
And then that's what's going to help you create those boundaries for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I could talk and laugh with you for hours, but we are running out on time. But Andy Cohen, if you hear this, let us know.
Please call Andy. That would be amazing.
Jen, are you ready for the lightning round questions?
I hope so.
What is a must-read book for you?
Oh my God, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. That is the book that legit changed my life. That book changed my life, and it changed my mindset about thinking about how to care for myself. So 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, because in every chapter she ends with love yourself.
Yes.
And you're like, that.
It's almost like you need to hear it 1,700 times before you actually start to do it.
Right.
So.
What does creativity mean to you?
Oh gosh, I think about creativity as just having fun. So if I get an idea and I'm a little bit of ADHD and will once I get an idea, I hone in on it. I just want to go create it and make it happen. I don't care if I'm going to put it out there to the world. I just want to have fun doing something that is allowing freedom in my brain to just draw or color or create a graphic or a design that I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Or like t-shirts or whatever. So for me, creativity is fun and freedom.
Yeah. Let me find that dopamine somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh God, I got this actually just the other day. And I have on my monitor up here, I have a label maker. And every time I hear something and I'm like, oh, I need to remember that, I either make a label and put it on my monitor up here, or I have like sticky notes like all above my desk. And the one that I got the other day is, if it's heavy, make it light. So if something feels heavy, like it's a lot of pressure, or it's going to feel like you're going to invite sadness or depression, flip it and make it so it's not that. So that one I just got the other day and I'm like, oh, that's good. So that one I'm starting to keep in mind, even personal and business life. So
yeah. Awesome. What is something that's on your bucket list?
I would say the one right now is to write a book. I have wanted to write a book for a really long time. So, real quick, I'm a suicide attempt survivor. I hope that's okay to say. Sorry, I should have put a trigger warning in there. But I know there's a lot of books out there about that, but I want to do it from the perspective of the 16-year-old that I was. So I want to share all the crap that I had when you're 16 and a teenager and trying to figure out life, and there's so much pressure on you, and then how to get over that hurdle and get where I am today. So it's on my list. I don't know when it'll happen, but it will happen eventually. I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm such a believer that if you feel called on your heart to do something, you're going to find a way to do it, Yeah. Awesome. And thank you for sharing that very vulnerable part of your story with us. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm an open book when it comes to stuff like that, because I feel like we need to talk about it more. And especially right now when we're recording this, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I think it's a really big thing to know that it's okay to go to a friend or go to somebody you don't know and just talk about it. And I'm an open book for questions. So if anybody has them, they can ask.
And last but not least, what is the coolest shit you've done in the last year or are currently working on?
Well, it's nothing to do with business.
Mm-hmm.
At 43 years old, I made a decision to pierce my nose. And I know that sounds really weird. And I'm like, I don't know why I've wanted it forever. And I was so afraid to do it because of judgment and people perceiving me a certain way. I was already out of corporate and I was working at the real estate office when I did it. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't care. I want it for me. It's not for anybody else. I'm just going to do it. And I left work one day and just did it. And so it has nothing to do with business at all. But I feel like that was almost like a freeing moment to remind me, like, if I want to do something and it's for me, whether it's personal life or business, just go do it. Like, who cares, you know?
Yep. That's awesome. I love that so much. So where can people find you? Where do you typically show up?
Threads is a big place, but I know it's also connected with Instagram. So my handle there is Mindful Virtual Assistant. And I'm on Facebook occasionally under the same name. Threads and Instagram is probably the better place to catch me.
Well, thank you so much. This was so much fun.
This was fun.
Thanks for joining the table.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you like that episode, please leave a review. Those are always so helpful on whatever platform you listen to this. Until next time, remember that big dreams and small steps will transform your life.